Chapter 13, Operation Warp Speed and President Trump. SARS-CoV-2 virus initially binds on the ACE2 receptors on human cells. From this point, there are two types of cell entry for the virus. Early on, rapid entry and slow entry. The rapid entry occurs through the use of the enzyme TRUMP-9, allowing direct entry into the cytoplasm where viral replication begins. The slow entry involves endocytosis, utilizing lysosomes and late endosomes, which have a low pH that enables the enzyme cathepsin to function. Chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine are weak bases and can easily enter lysosomes and endosomes in their unprotonated form. Inside these vessels, chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine get protonated and become trapped because the protonated form cannot cross the vesicle's borders. This increases the pH in these vesicles where the virus must undergo membrane fusion. The trapped virus cannot replicate because cathepsin cannot function at a high pH. The Wuhan virus and other earlier forms use both the early and the late entry pathways for infection. As SARS-CoV-2 circulated in the human population, it evolved to use the TMPRSS2 mediated entry pathway more efficiently and almost exclusively. The new variants lost their ability to utilize cathepsin endosome mediated entry. This changed everything. The pH changes induced by chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine had no effect on the TMPRSS2 mediated entry pathway, rendering them ineffective. The so-called experts should have known this scientific truth, but chose to suppress it and blame President Trump. After 60 years of clinical use, chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine became dangerous drugs overnight thanks to these experts and their desire to blame President Trump. As H.G. Wells once said, progress in technology is only beneficial when accompanied by progress in politics, away from greed and self-interest and towards the common good. This clearly does not support partisan, polarizing criticisms and actions. We need to keep our country and our planet a good home for ourselves and future generations. It is with great pain that I noticed some troubling trends in American journalism. In its obituary for O.J. Simpson, the LA Times noted, long before the city woke up on a fall morning in 2017, Trump walked out of Lovelock Correctional Center outside Reno, a free man for the first time in 9 years. This was later corrected with an editor's note. Some believe that the mistake was a Freudian slip, while others suggested it might have been an intentional subliminal message. As an agent from such a prominent newspaper would unlikely confuse one name for another. A similar incident occurred on a major television show when a newscaster blamed climate change for solar eclipse, earthquake, and cicadas. It is troubling that journalism sometimes employs outright lies, distortions, and subliminal messages to please followers and confuse others. A notable example of subliminal messaging was the detailed description of a false allegation from the Trump Tower doorman regarding a housekeeper brought up during a recent Trump trial in New York. This created a very negative impression of President Trump, even though subsequent investigations proved the story false. I would be surprised if even 10% of listeners could completely erase the negative image of President Trump created by this fake story. Using such drama to attack a former president is a departure from the time-honored U.S. legal system. The ease with which some media and politicians allowed people spread unfounded accusation makes one wonder whether they were discussing the president of the most powerful country in the world or the leader of some obscure country club. Under the guise of no one is above the law, the media seemed to be misinterpreting the law specifically for President Trump and was competing to determine who can kick him lower and lower below the law. History should not forgive people who intentionally mislead the masses.